Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the channel again and this week's episode. The subject matter is basically a sunset, but we do have in the distance what is called the Emley Moor Mast. Sometimes sat here, some of these sunsets are absolutely spectacular with the open skyline over there and the horizon. We can see for miles and miles. You can see Emley Moor Mast over there, which was built in the early 70s, I believe, and it was basically a radio and television transmitter tower, so that we could all watch the television back in the dark, dim days of the 1970s. Just in a short while now, probably about half an hour max, the sun's going to drop down a little bit further behind the clouds. Hopefully the clouds might break a little bit and we can get some sunlight coming through as it drops. I managed to actually get, in the end, a fantastic sunset shot looking over the moor. I took quite a few photographs and I've picked my favourite one. This one's going to be fantastic to use as a subject. So we're back. Really nice sunset there. Just got a little bit of that sky and the sun coming through right at the bottom, just near the horizon line there, which is make it really nice. Should be colourful, this one. So let's get sketching. We'll just drop in the drafting lines and for the area that we want to work to. Nice and simple. I do have, believe it or not, another hill right over in the distance there. Just indicate that again as well. It's more defined, so because it's nearer we can see more of the tree line in our vision and our line of sight. Here in the foreground, I'm just going to indicate again where or whereabouts my trees are going to be. And it's just something for my brush to follow when I put the detail, it's going to be more of a wash into this area. Now I've got an indication of where the sun's going to be. It's going to be around about here. I'm just going to draw the sun circle in, just nice and loose, not too much. Now we want the Emley Moor Mast, and what I'm going to do is use the ruler just to draw in the line of the mast. Is this cheating? You decide. Do you have to draw it in by freehand, or do you feel that you want to use a ruler? It's totally up to you, isn't it? It's whatever you feel comfortable doing. The first wash is going to be further up here in the top echelons of the sky, where the sun has not taken full effect and we've still got a little bit of the daylight blue, if you like. So I'm going to go for that French ultramarine. So I'm going to use the brush to mix the palette and just get some of that ready. And then I'm going to use my other brush to use a little bit to put a wash on to the paper itself. So I'm coming in from the right. Just take some of that blue in there, just a little bit. It's nice. We can see sometimes the paint sort of running down, which will give a beautiful effect in many ways, but it's not quite the effect I'm looking for this picture. So, as we've done in previous videos, a bit of toilet tissue. Take away just some of the excess water that's making the paint run in a direction that we don't want it to run in this particular painting. In other paintings in the future, that exercise there where we let the water and the paint just run riot as it likes and go, and it's going to go down in this instance because again I'm on the slope, that can have lots of benefits, and we'll use that in future paintings to our benefit to get some nice effects, particularly in skies. This particular sky is really, really quite wispy, I would call it. That's the term I would use. Just using the edge of the brush just to take the paint on in a linear fashion. There we go. So as I'm waiting for that wash to just dry off there, I'm already contemplating what my next stage is, because I'm going to put another wash down now across here, and that's going to be where the sunlight and the goldenness and the oranges and yellows are going to start appearing. I'm going to get that warmth coming in here. The beautiful, beautiful cadmium yellow. Just washing to make sure that I've covered the whole of my Fabriano watercolour paper with the water wash, and I am actually going to take it over into the horizon line and just over, because the colour that I'm going to be using is going to be part of the landscape as well, further on down the line. Okay, so looking good. Okay, let's just let that settle. We take some of the yellow just up into the overlapping blue, and then we'll soften that off just gently in a moment. There's my first wash of yellow, which will be the indication of golden sunlight that's going to start coming through, and I'm going to work into that and strengthen up as we go. The yellow is my base of this sunset. It's my starting point. The brightest of colours to indicate the light coming from the sun. I'm going to work around the little sun circle that I created just as a guide. Just keep an eye on this paint that's creeping down. Dab away. Not only are you dabbing away the paint that's sort of crept down a little bit, but you're also reinforcing the fact that you're taking away a little bit of the water that was part of your initial wash, and that will stop it coming down as well. So you're drying it off just a little bit, reducing the moisture. Almost acts as a gate blocker to stop the paint coming down. Got a nice amount of colour there. Just looking at the strength of it now. I'm going to be adding the orange tint to this sky in a moment. I'm just putting some flecks in, just as indications, just to help me with this sky. Okay, happy with that first wash. I'm just going to work up into here, just to soften off just a little bit. Because this sky, in essence, is a very, very wispy, soft sky. There's not too much in the way of strong highlighted edged clouds. It's very, very wispy and soft. I'm trying to depict that evening light. Okay, happy with that for now. I mean, you have to say watercolour painting and a cup of tea go together really well. So I've got most of the orange and cadmium there to indicate my really beautiful sunlight glow on in my first wash. I'm going to take that up into that blue, because I'm going to knock that blue back a little bit as well, and the way I'll do that is just use a little bit of yellow going into there so it fades in, so it's not drastically different. It's still part of the same sky with the light, but we're just going to push that back a little bit. But I wanted to see what this was like first, and then I'll do that last. Building it up now, building up the definition of the clouds, a little bit by bit, nice and easy, just taking it through like that. Just take it through, okay. You can see there where the initial wash is just starting to dry a little bit, that the paint then goes on in a much drier way and doesn't sort of diffuse itself into the already sort of wet paper. And to alleviate that, just go with a smaller brush and just soften it out. It's a beautiful effect, and one that I've used in countless skies over the years. But on this occasion, this particular sky doesn't really carry that sort of distinction. Alrighty, so we'll leave that to dry, and then we're going to go in and put in more defined clouds in the next sort of layer, if you like, of definition. So the first wash is dried really nice. I'm now going to apply just another pass of clouds just to bring some more definition in. The stronger colour now with a mix of the cadmium yellow and some of that Alizarin crimson into my palette here. A little bit of water. I'm still using the same brush, and I'm just using the side edge really, which is really handy for the clouds. I'm going to start over here. That helps me actually. People often ask, you know, which side do you start from? It really doesn't matter most of the time, but in this instance it's just helping me because I'm left-handed. I'm going to draw these clouds in, just flick them in, just here and there. Let's get some more paint on the brush. There's a particular wisp of a cloud down here. It's a really dominant cloud just here. Almost where the sky touches the land. You'll notice that I'm keeping a certain sort of line as well that's going up and then tapering over, sort of tipping over. That's giving the sense of perspective to the sky and the clouds that are racing across. Just with a smaller brush now, it's going to soften those clouds off now. So they blend lovely into this evening sky. Just using my photograph that I took just as that guide. You know, I still want to keep it quite loose and original in a sense of it being a painting, and we're just using the photograph as that guide. As you can see now, things are starting to come together. Keep just softening off, especially around where the sun is. As the brightness of the sun eclipses almost the definition of the shadows because it's so intense. Blend them in, lovely. Blend them in. Nice. Exercises in watercolour painting like this over the years, and I've done many, I've really noticed how the choice of paper, and we spoke about it in previous videos, the Fabriano, this really is where it comes into its own. The way that it just holds the colour and the definition of the strokes that you're putting into your painting. So beautiful. And yet, you can often still go back in there and offer a little bit of manipulation to the paint marks and the strokes that you put down. You've got some wiggle room. Alrighty, I'm going to leave that there, let that dry. Then I'm going to work up here. I'm going to do that in a second because I don't want to go over this little bit that I've done there. It's going to be quite awkward. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, just up here in this area, I'm going to bring some more definition in just here. Now remember, we had the blue, which is sort of coming into the yellow and the more goldenness there. So ideally, I do want a tonal range of colour that matches that change in hue. Again, so this is wash over wash. There we go. That's the colour I'm looking for. We'll just bring a little bit in there. Take it up there. Yeah. The softening effect with the brush going in with the secondary pass or the smaller brush gives it that dreamy, wispy effect, which is exactly how it looked when I took the photograph on the spot. There's my second pass for the washes and the strokes of the brushes for the sky, and it's really starting to come together now. There will be one final pass of colour to put more definition into the clouds, particularly just around the bottom there, and which will really bring out this area with the sun. And that'll be it for the sky. I'm going stronger now with this next pass of colour. We really want a really strong reddy orange, crimsony colour, and you can see the cadmium yellow there and the Alizarin crimson working nicely together in the palette to bring this colour. This colour's coming right over here, across the horizon line, really, really low in the sky. So we've got some low evening clouds that really are drifting into the lower element of the atmosphere. Right. Let's give it a bit more just here, that's it. That's nice. Okay. Okay. Happy with that. That's looking good. I want to let that settle down and dry, and then we're going to move on to the land. Things will really start to come forward. Where are we at the moment? Yeah, okay, so we started up here with the blueness, where the sun isn't reaching out as much, but as we come nearer and nearer in, we can see the sort of like the strength of that sunlight and the goldenness starting to really show as we get nearer and nearer. And we fanned in, didn't we, the cloud formation, starting from, in this sense, and the horizon line there, and then going outwards and outwards and outwards, up, using sort of a perspective to show that the line of the skyline there. All right, so I'm happy with that, how that's turned out, guys. What have we done so far? So, okay, so we started with that blue, didn't we, up at the top there, just to signify a little bit of the daylight sky, although it is fading away. We brought in a yellow wash, and then we worked up slowly, didn't we, with some more yellow and alizarin crimson to start making that orange, and then the burnt darkness further down here, and a little bit up here where we've got the crossover of the night evening sky and a little bit of the daylight sky left over there. Happy with that, and now we're going to get onto the foreground. Things should start popping forward now. Really nice. Now onto the foreground. The first thing I'm going to concentrate on, obviously, is the mast. Mixed up a little bit of colour. It's quite intricate, isn't it? So, and fine. So we're going to go in with my finest brush. In she goes. Just use that very fine. Okay. That'll do me. The rest of the mast is basically going to dissipate into the foreground, which we're now going to put in. We've got a really hazy mist going on across the landscape there in this evening light, and I'm going to indicate that with a little bit of blue into the mix. Just right over in the distance there, we've got the trees, but nothing too detailed. Just a line. I'm using a real darker blue. I do want that blue because I want to emphasise in a few moments the way in which the mist is dropping. Okay. So I'm going to fill that now. And I am actually going to come all the way down into the whole of the foreground, bring in that colour, and then I'm going to build up with layer upon layer, 2 or 3 layers as we come forward. So just mixing that. Bring it in with the brig brush. I may have to get some more. Ultramarine here. Yeah, that's the colour we're after. I'm going to come to about here. On here. Okay. Okay, this is the foreground wash going in. It's got a bluey grey and misty feel to it, sort of, and then we're going to work some layers into that once it's dried and create some darkness. But I'm just going to put some hues of colours in. Some reds over here. There's a little bit of warmth, particularly where the sun is there. So we'll just bring those in there. Over here, it gets a little bit colder. And here we want a little bit of warmth. Okay, let's let that dry. That's dried lovely now. Happy with that. It's got a sort of a blue coolness to it, hasn't it, that colour there. We're just going to work on top of that now. I've levelled out, taken the artboard down a little bit because I'm going to do this layering now, and I just kept getting all the water in my washers sort of rolling down, so I've flattened it out a little bit, which will help it stay in position. And we're going to finish off now with these rolling hills in the foreground here, layered in as we come forward. Nice stroke of fully loaded brush with just some water there, just to bring that down there. Give the sense of mist. In this area of the painting now, things are getting dark and moody. And we need to capture that by keeping things dark and moody. We get that feeling of silhouette. With all that wash that's gone down there, and it's now dried really, really nice, by the way, I've lost in the mist. As it were, my original graphite pencil guidelines for these next two layers of foreground. So I'm just going to drop those in very, very lightly and just subtle, you know, just as a guide, as we've done with many of the sort of sketchy little bits of our paintings. So we're going to add that on, and then I'm going to finish off this painting with the two most prominent foreground elements of this landscape. So here we go. Nice and loose. We just add in roughly where we want this very, very final foreground element of tree line to go. Okay, that's that. I'll do the majority, if not all of this now, with the larger wash brush, really. There's a lot of colour to get on, and using the side, as we've done with a lot of the sky, using the side of this brush, we can get a really, really nice effect. And remember, we spoke before in previous paintings about the layering and the distancing effect of landscapes with the green and the blue, how things very, very far away have got a lot less green and a lot more blue to them. But as we've come forward now into this painting, we'll bring in a little bit more green for the first time, but not too much, because let's remember that we've got a night scene almost, sunsetty. So the prominence of that green will have dissipated into much more of a darker effect. So any green that we put in, we are also going to add in probably some more of the neutral tint to knock it back. Another good way of knocking back a green is to use red, which is its complementary colour on the other side of the spectrum. Just give a few little flecks of the brush edge just to indicate sort of trees. Again, now I'm going to bring pure water across there. That wash. Smoothing that out. You'll notice how easy with this watercolour paper, the Fabriano, how it takes layer after layer of water and washes with ease. As before, into this area, I'm just going to bring in a little bit of warmth. That's it. just with the tissue, you know, randomly, we can just drop it and touch that wash as it's drying slowly, just taking away a little bit of colour and paint just out of that wash, just to indicate where the mist is playing in the distance across the tree line and into the foliage of the trees. Just an indication, nothing too much. Okay, we'll let that dry and we'll come back to it. Do you know what? I think it's time for a cup of tea. We've been working hard, haven't we? I've mixed a large amount of colour in my palette for this final stage of the painting across here at the base, which will be the most prominent and foreground element of the painting, and what we saw when I was actually there, you know, on the hill overlooking this valley, and these are going to be the most prominent trees. A little bit more detail in these as well, so I'm just using that smaller brush to get the effect of the tree line. You know, what we've done in previous videos, same kind of effect. There's a very, very small amount of green in here, but we still have to be careful, you know, not to overdo it, because we do still want to keep that subdued evening effect. Okay, I've got a sort of a line there that I'm going to work to. Just pull out one or two little bits. That's good. I'm going to fill all that now solidly with the wash. Put the darkness in there now. Working quickly. Let's get that colour on. There we go. See the paint now flowing around as we come across, adding that green in. As we came across here earlier, we just put a bit of warmth in, didn't we, here, because that's where the sun is glowing most and having the most effect, so we will add in a touch of yellow in there as well. Let's take it straight in. For me, after sort of 38 years of being a commercial artist in the industry, watercolour can be one of the most daunting of mediums, more so than acrylics and oils and many other things that people use in an artistic way. It has a unforgiving tendency, doesn't it? Because the immediacy of the colour that you put down on the paper is on, and that's it, and there's no going back. But with that said, as you've seen in previous videos and this one today, there is a way, isn't there? And it's, for me, it's about layering. Today's sunset, as you can see, we started with the background, didn't we? And we built it up and built it up until we got some real nice colours and cloud formations. And you saw how I slowly but surely, wash upon dry wash, put things up and up, and we built it up into something with a bit of detail and definition and lots of lovely colour. As always, I'd really like to thank everyone for your support in my young fledgling YouTube channel. It's a real pleasure to get lots and lots of comments and responses from the things that I've been doing so far in these early sort of watercolour lessons and tutorials. So once again, thank you for watching this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've got some value out of it, and it'll help you on your creative journey. And that's the main thing, your creative journey. And I hope it's going really well for you. Until next time, bye for now.